Hello and welcome to the Womxn Show. I'm Lenina Rasool. It is Mother's Day and we have an exciting show planned where we will be speaking about mothering, motherhood, some of the unique challenges that women face as mothers, and also celebrating mothers for the wonderful job that we all do in raising our children. Now, after the break, we're going to be speaking to Julie Mentored from Embrace, a Movement for Mothers, an organization that is connecting mothers around South Africa, that's providing support and also doing advocacy around the challenges that mothers face. But before that, we're going to have a look at a short video by Embrace about what they do, about the type of support they provide, and how they are connecting mothers to each other. Let's have a look.
We as mothers and mother supporters believe
we are diverse but united by our common experiences of motherhood.
Every mother can gain from and contribute to the movement.
every mother is the expert on her child.
Every mother is worthy of care and support.
We listen first and then speak.
We encourage and support rather than judge and criticize.
How we do things is as important as what we do.
Our voices and stories are powerful.
What divides us needs to be diminished.
Friendship and community are critical for our mental health and well-being.
We acknowledge and value the role of culture and beliefs in the way they shape our motherhood journey.
There are many good practices of motherhood, but no single way to mother our children.
We have the right to celebrate our children and to honor our role as mothers of the next generation.
That was a short video by Embrace, a movement for mothers. We are going to take a short break, but we'll be back with more after this. Welcome back. You're still watching The Womxn Show, and it is Mother's Day. I am so excited to have a great organization that works with mothers on the show today. We are speaking to Julie Mentor from Embrace, a movement for mothers. Julie, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Lynn. Happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you, and to you, Julie, and I think to all of the mothers out there who are watching. Julie, Embrace is running a very exciting campaign this year for Mother's Day, but I wanted to start off with just some context around Embrace, what you guys do, this movement for mothers. What is it all about?
Sure. So Embrace is a social movement for motherhood, specifically supporting early motherhood, because that transition into motherhood is a wild ride for anyone, no matter when you start. If you're very young when you become a mum, or older, whether it's your first child or your fifth child, every journey into motherhood presents unique challenges and unique opportunities that need to be supported. And we want to create a South Africa where every mother is able to thrive in the motherhood journey, and where they are valued and respected for the role that they play in society. And so we do that in two ways. We have a sort of strong advocacy platform where we advocate for the needs of early motherhood. We look at very specific focus areas, and we're petitioning for South Africa to really make the motherhood experience a better one for every mother. And then we also work to create environments where mothers can connect with each other and build that community of motherhood that every mother needs and every mother deserves to be a part of. And that's where the social movement sort of component is, and that we are both a movement for change, but we are a social movement. We do it in community of mothers. And so, yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
I love that. I mean, thank you, Julie, for the introduction. And you mentioned a few things that I just want to draw out. You mentioned advocacy for motherhood, which is great, and also a social movement. And what those things speak to is that they are challenges to motherhood. And so when you say creating a community for motherhood and the advocacy, it's to tackle some of those challenges. And I know that Embrace has had also a series of dialogues where mothers came on and really spoke candidly about some of the challenges that we experience, but that often has been just too taboo to speak about. I mean, mothers are supposed to be, perfect, nurturing, sort of, not have any problems with raising kids at all. But I want to ask you, so from an advocacy perspective, but also just generally, what are some of the issues that came up during these dialogues, or some of the things that mothers have said that they are grappling with?
So yeah, you made a really good point, Lenina. I think there is a taboo around, what mothers are seen as a rot of society, right? And I think that's an unfortunate position that we put mothers in, because yes, mothers are strong and we are resilient, but we also need support. And I think it's, sometimes thinking that mothers can do it all, can take it all, sells mothers really short, because the reality is that there are structural challenges that mothers experience from the moment of conception, that mothers have to exist in, and where really the kind thing to do to support mothers is not to expect them to be able to manage everything, but to create enabling environments for them to thrive. So yes, you mentioned what are our advocacy strategies. So looking at the early motherhood experience, we focus on starting really with the pregnancy journey. Pregnancy is this incredible, miraculous event. However, it's not that for every woman. Depending on how we make assumptions, everyone should be thrilled to find out they're pregnant, when we know we have a country with such a high gender-based violence rate that not everyone chooses to fall pregnant. And then we have we make really unfair judgments on a woman's ability navigate that for herself, thinking that it's always within the person's control, when it is often not. Even within the concept of a couple or a marriage, women aren't always able to, they don't always have agency over their own bodies and making decisions like birth control, or so it's not as simple as you chose to fall pregnant. So we've got issues around, the kind of gender-based violence and the sort of expectations around women and their bodies in pregnancy. And then the other thing is that one thinks because a pregnancy is sort of housed within a body, that it is therefore, it has no cost. And that could not be further from the truth. Pregnancy is incredibly expensive. And the irony is that the less financial resource you have, the more it often actually costs you. For example, if you require state health services for your pregnancy and you need to go and attend antenatal appointments, if you're doing that within the public health sector, going for a checkup is often a whole day event, which means that you need to take an entire day off of work. You need to find other childcare arrangements for your other children. That's expensive. So in South Africa, we have a child support grant, which supports children from when they are registered, which normally happens in the first year of their life. But we don't have anything to support a mother during the pregnancy stage, when we know that pregnancy is one of the most critical stages of development for the child. So it's both a pro-mother and pro-child strategy to really say that, acknowledge that pregnancy is actually, it's not just a responsibility of a woman. And I think that's why Embrace exists, because we have some really specific thoughts and judgments that we place on women and we place on mothers, and expectations on them that are actually really unfair. And so as a society, if we say that social support is really important for us, then we need to look at what kind of social support we provide. Is it really holistic enough to adequately support someone and from the beginning of their life journey? And so we're petitioning for a maternity support grant or income support during pregnancy. Then we look at the kind of the healthcare, navigating the healthcare system is really, it's often not very mom friendly. And one of the things that we're really passionate about is eradicating obstetric violence in South Africa. And obstetric violence is a violence that happens. It can be physical violence, it can be emotional violence, so verbal abuse, it can be sexual violence, which also happens. That happens within a healthcare system to a person who is pregnant or laboring or postpartum. And we've been doing a lot of work on this. We've commissioned desktop research. We are now working on a ongoing advocacy efforts to really look at what it takes to eradicate this. And I think one of the first things we've realized is that people don't actually understand what obstetric violence is or how common it is. And so this is the work we're doing now. We're actually embarking on a really what will be a really powerful sort of mini documentary series where we're going to be speaking to women who have survived this. And what we hope to be able to really show is that this is not something that just happens in a sensational news story, but women have come to expect a really low level of care when it comes to perinatal care. And as a result, we minimize for ourselves the kinds of the level of care and respect that we are entitled to, that's written into the Patient Rights Charter. So women deserve dignified access to healthcare services, and we want to really push that. And we also want to make sure that those who are perpetuating these sort of very patriarchal or paternalistic sort of healthcare systems that allow for women to really struggle and to suffer and to be traumatized are held to account. And that ultimately we shift this within the healthcare system. So that is work in pregnancy. And then, we go on to looking at breastfeeding and sort of the support for the transitional stage. Once your baby is born, there is a real expectation in our country that mothers should breastfeed their children, and absolutely believe in the benefits of breastfeeding for the mother and child. But we also believe that there is a bit of a skewed push for seeing how breastfeeding is a relationship, and it's not just about child nutrition. It can't be about that, because ultimately it's done at the expense of a mother's body. And so we need to look at how it affects her and what kind of support we put in place to make this so-called very natural thing happen, which isn't just physical help, although that's really needed. So lactation support is really low. We don't have good quality, consistent, easily accessible, and culturally competent lactation services in the country. But then we also don't create enabling environments. Women have to go back to work really early. They're working in the informal economy. They may get no access to UIF. They may not even be registered. So they may have to make decisions. Do I work and put it on the table to family, or do I stay so I can breastfeed a baby? So those are just the issues. I could go on, we've got many more, but that really look at the sort of start of setting mothers up for success. And we're saying that it needs to be a part of a strategy for a whole society doing well, which sees not just the child, although the child is really important. We say that the people who want their children to thrive the most are the mothers, are the caregivers. So we take that as a given, and we're so pro all of the interventions that help young children thrive. But we're saying at the same time, please don't forget mothers, because yes, there are 1 million babies being born every year in this country, but there are also 1 million women stepping into a new journey of motherhood, and they need investment and care. And so those are the things that we are advocating for.
Thanks, Julie. Oh my word. I mean, that sounds amazing. And you said so many things that resonated. You know, when we're talking about the body and the healthcare, I read recently, Serena Williams has placed this issue sort of, when she went to go and give birth, and just about how her issues with her own body were dismissed, during that period. Absolutely. And her health issues. And so I was amazed by that. And, one has to think, oh my God, if that's Serena Williams, what chance do the rest of us have of being listened to? And how does one assert oneself sort of within that power dynamic of doctor and patient, especially given, South Africa and our unequal power structures. And then I also loved what you said about sort of, when you have the baby, and that is often a no-win situation for women, because there is this, there's the bubble of the perfect married family that you can have your baby in. I've heard horror stories of women who've had their babies too early, and sort of early, even in the early 20s, and sort of ostracized by the family, really traumatic, really painful. And then also, later in life, we're choosing not to have a baby or have a baby later, then it's like when, as if there's an expectation. So I think it's great that like narrative around that is coming out, and we're starting to talk about agency. I mean, just your whole description of all of this is making me think, it's as if pregnancy and childbirth happens in a bubble that is separate from society. And that actually it's integrated in everything. It affects work, it affects, everything. And so when you ended off and you said, don't forget about the mothers, the health and the happiness of the child is really very much dependent on the health and the happiness of the caregiver.
Absolutely. And it's completely undervalued, and we know that because if you either for yourself or for someone are trying to advocate for mental health services, for someone who's struggling with postnatal depression, and someone who does not have access to private resources, is not able to maybe pay for a private therapist, and therefore needs to navigate through the healthcare system, it's a really hard endeavor. It is not easy to access psychosocial support if you don't have the resources to do it privately. And that tells us a lot about how we value mothers and how we value women in society. Because if we understood that, a mother whose mental health is really cared for, whose body is cared for, if we understood that it's not just about her. You're right. Exactly what you said is absolutely right. She affects the whole home. She affects her whole community. Her baby's thriving is dependent on her physical and mental well-being, her other children, her partner, her family. It's all affected, but we like to compartmentalize things in South Africa. And to be honest, this is not actually the South African problem. This is international. You referenced Serena Williams, and I think that speaks a lot to the dynamics of race and intersectionality between race and womanhood and birth and motherhood. And we see it in the States, it's been widely reported, but we see it here too. But, ultimately, we really do not provide adequate recognition. And I think I think that's why I say it speaks to how we value women, how we value mothers within our society. We don't. I think we just think that mothers need to get over it and get on with it. But that kind of dismissive behavior and attitudes, and therefore services that are provided, sells everyone short. And so yeah, it's not about saying prioritize mothers over other group, saying we are all so interlinked. But if you really care about young children, then surely you care about their mothers too.
No, exactly. And I mean, what came out, we can't have this conversation without pivoting towards a little bit towards COVID and the lockdown, because one of the positive, I mean, it wasn't, experience obviously wasn't positive, but one of the positive things that came out is the narrative around mental health increased, and the narrative around the burdens that mothers experience, or, it's often framed as a triple burden because it's economic, it's work, and it's childcare, and with the children at home, and then also community care within families. Women generally are also caregivers to extended family. And so, and within their community. And so we don't have a lot of time left for this segment, but in just a couple of minutes, if you can tell us just about a few of the challenges that came out during lockdown, because I'm sure some of that came up. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you've spoken to it already, but the absolute burden of childcare primarily fell on women. And so, looking at what was reported in the NISCRAM reports, wave 1, 2, 3, even 4 and wave 5 reports, indicated that women were disproportionately affected by having to step out of both the formal and informal economy in order to take care of their homes, which puts them makes them far more financially vulnerable and economically vulnerable, which is definitely a problem in cases where there is violence. Not having your own access to financial resources, and in fact, effectively, homes kind of closed down. We became far more private, and so I think for women who were in unsafe home environments, the lockdown must have been absolutely terrifying for them. And we've seen narrative reports coming out of women's experiences of stuck at home with effectively abusers. Then just the burden of childcare. I mean, one would hope that we would understand how critical childcare is, seeing that, and sort of maybe seeing at home for the first time. And I'm hoping these realizations did happen at home, what it actually took to care for and homeschool and, kind of keep a home going in a pandemic situation. Again, speaking to the issues of early motherhood for women who had to give birth during 2020 and into 2021, and even now in some healthcare facilities, you had to basically drop it off at the door. And having no access to support, your partners weren't allowed in, and that's incredibly traumatizing. In the first sort of wave of the pandemic, there was a real risk around COVID. Didn't know much about the sort of a COVID positive mother, whether she'd be isolated from her baby or not. And so we were doing a lot of work with a coalition looking at called Messages for Mothers, looking at kind of how to kind of give mothers a sense of their rights and also just understanding, the evolving nature of the pandemic and how that would impact them in their early motherhood journeys. But that was incredibly hectic for everyone, but definitely if you were giving birth and then had to be on your own, if you had a cesarean section, you had 3 days on your own with no family support, no access, we know that has had real impact on women, and as a result, healthcare systems also, struggling, feeling really overburdened. We're also some healthcare services have not been friendly around partner support anyway in hospitals, and make their own sort of rules up around whether a person may have access to a birth companion or not. But during lockdown, this was definitely sort of shut down altogether, which has actually been really, really distressing. Mothers with premature babies
also, not being able to stay in the hospital overnight and struggling with that kind of separation. So there are lots and lots and lots of ongoing effects. I don't think we're going to fully know what the last 2 years have done to mothers until 5-10 years time, but I have no doubt that the impact has been hectic.
Thanks, Julie. We need to take a short break, but we are going to come back and continue the conversation after this. Welcome back. You're still watching The Womxn Show. It's Mother's Day, and we are speaking about motherhood. And with us in studio is Julie Mentor from Embrace, a movement for mothers. Now, we have been speaking about some of the challenges that women experience generally in terms of mothering and motherhood. And now we're going to be chatting about a wonderful campaign that Embrace has launched today, actually on Mother's Day, which is about support networks and motherhood and friendship. And I'm really excited about this because one of the topics that I often see, even though we don't chat about it a lot, is that it's really difficult to navigate friendships or find new friends when you are a mother. So whether you're a stay-at-home mom, you're a working mom, you're a single mother, there are all these different things that are going on, and not everyone within the friend circle really understands that. So how do we form, really good connections, networks, and friendships around this? And Julie, I don't know if I'm describing it properly, but please tell us more about this exciting campaign.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think, in the first segment, we discussed a lot about the kind of the issues that mothers face that are really heavy and very real and need our concerted efforts. But whilst these things don't change overnight, what is really clear is that motherhood continues. And motherhood is not a journey that's ever meant to be traveled alone. Mothers, we firmly believe and embrace that mothers need other mothers, and that there is a solidarity in that shared experience of motherhood. Whether you are living, nearby to other mothers, or whether it's with a mother on the other side of the country, motherhood provides a sort of shared experience that you can tap into that's really very special, and is actually really powerful to bring about social change. And so we wanted to do something a little bit lighter. I think Mother's Day is a really special day to kind of honor moms, but we wanted to provide something that was perhaps a little bit more long-lasting than a bunch of flowers, which everyone loves to receive, but will potentially wilt. And so we were looking at the kind of gift of friendship. And the reality is, coming out of 2 years of the pandemic, one of the things that we kept hearing is, I feel like I've lost my community. I feel like I'm struggling to get back into the world, either because I'm feeling a bit fearful or because I don't have my network of friends, or perhaps you became a mother in the pandemic and you've now had this really life-altering experience and you need to find others to share it with. So we are running something a little bit more lighthearted, but what we really hope is really meaningful for this month. We call it the Month of Mothers, and it's an opportunity to meet up and make mom friends. On the side, I sort of describe it as speed dating for mom friends. That's kind of what we're wanting to do. And that's sort of the spirit of it, being very light-hearted, but something for mums just to come and enjoy. And there's no expectations around who you're going to meet or how it's going to work. So basically, because of the pandemic, obviously we're still, it's difficult to create in-person gatherings are opening up slowly, but we really want to make these events accessible. We're hosting them online. They're free. You buy a ticket via our website. There's quick links. You just sign up. There's no cost. And we're hosting 4 virtual events that are going to be facilitated by wonderful women who are social media influencers. They are sort of community organizers and mobilizers in their own right. And we've sort of decided to theme them. So we've got one tonight on Mother's Day. It starts at, I think, 6:30 this evening. You log on, you can wear your pajamas, you can dress up, you can have camera on, camera off. If your baby is crying or you're breastfeeding, totally welcome, come as you are. It's 1 hour, and tonight's one is really just a celebration of Mother's Day. It's saying, you might have been really busy in the day. Perhaps if you've got mothers or other mothers in your life that you've been maybe, setting up cakes and teas for, this is an hour just for you. You come, we're going to kind of have a bit of a kind of group conversation, and then the idea is to break up into rooms, virtual rooms, breakaway rooms, in small numbers, and give you some talking points so it's not completely awkward. And everyone's there for the same reason. It's just kind of hang out with other moms and just kind of say, Happy Mother's Day to us. I'm a mom, I live in Cape Town, this is what I do, or, whatever your situation is. So that's the first one. And then we're doing one we call it the Mommy Hustlers. So we know that, as I spoke about, the pandemic has really forced women to be creative around securing, finances and economic means for their families. And we know many women who are working a job or are full-time stay-at-home moms, but then they have a little side hustle, something to kind of generate income on the side. And we're just always blown away by the creativity and the resilience and just the kind of just the force that these women bring in. And we know that networking is really powerful when you're trying to get small businesses off the ground. So we're doing a kind of a mommy hustlers get together. That's happening a week later. It's an hour again. If you've kind of got a side hustle, whatever it might be, come and meet other women. Then we one specifically for single moms. And this was something that was brought to our attention a lot over the last few years, is that single moms are often, their experience is not understood. It's they're either sort of lumped into a general category of mothers, despite the fact that they are holding very unique responsibilities that are not experienced by women who are potentially in partnerships in their home. But also sometimes they're ostracized or judged for experiences that only other single moms would get. And sometimes they're just kind of left off of the marketing, off the marketing jargon, specifically around Mother's Day. There's not like a recognition. And so we've created a space. It's hosted by a fantastic single mom. And it's saying, if you're a single mom and you want to meet other single moms and sort of shoot the breeze with them, come and join that one. And then the last one is just, it's really for every mom, but we're calling it's a gathering of tired moms. So the expectation is everyone will be in their pajamas, drinking whatever, the 4 cup of coffee for the day. But if you're a new mom and you're just like, you're sleep deprived, or maybe you're even, your kids are older, but you just resonate with the feeling of just, you're tired, maybe you're too tired to go out and socialize. We've made it really easy, and it's about coming together, no shame. Let's find some fellow tired moms. You can moan, you can complain, hopefully we'll laugh too, and just kind of have these opportunities to create community. And I say it's sort of like speed dating, because it's little opportunities to meet lots of people in a very safe, private environment, but where the stakes are low, but hopefully the energy is really good. And you don't know. I've met some incredible women online over the years who really have developed into solid friendships. Gone are the days where you had to be physically present in order to have a meaningful conversation with each other. So we're leaning into that this month, and we're saying, moms, you deserve to invest in your personal relationships. And so can do it in this really easy to access way. And we'd love to meet you.
Julie, that is absolutely wonderful, and it resonates sort of with everything that you're saying. It's making me excited, because I know also, and I just want to bring this in, I wanted to say earlier, that last question in our last segment where we talked about childcare as burden, I'm a mother, so even as I'm saying it, I can feel some resistance to us naming childcare as a burden, which is part of like this expectation it shouldn't be, but it's really hard, guys. It's really hard to raise other humans. And so I often say that talking and just being with people is a form of therapy, and I love that, there is also a perception that we're supposed to be okay, and you said this earlier, that we're not supposed to need more, but these spaces, just to encourage women to come in and just talk about them with other women, with other people who understand, are really also healing spaces. And I wanted to ask, is that also, one of the things that you're hoping to achieve, which I'm sure you've seen in some of the other dialogues, because when I just watched the dialogues and didn't even participate, it felt, there was a great sense of validation and I thought it was just me, but it's not. It lessens shame. I know I'm speaking about like some of, some challenging things or what sounds like negative things. There's also a lot of positives, as you said, to laugh about it. Is that what you're hoping the space is going to bring for women?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we've learned over the years not to over-engineer it, but just to create a platform that is safe. And once women come together this way, the magic happens. Some it depends. I mean, so I think every event will be a little bit different. And I'm really hoping that people who show up get what they need, whether it's sort of a therapeutic moment. There may be tears, there may be but there may be some tears of laughter too. You're going to get I'm hoping everyone's going to get what they need. And really, we're trying to make it as non-threatening and as accessible as possible, acknowledging that, it's hard to sort of, as mothers, it's hard to claim things for ourselves because, again, speaks to the sense that we are supposed to give everything of ourselves to our children and to our families, and anything for ourselves seems selfish. And we're saying, be a little bit selfish. That's okay, because you know what? You're investing in yourself. You need that validation. You need that solidarity. You need that sense of community to hold you up and to kind of create space for you to just be. And so that is what we're hoping will come out of this. And as I said, I'd love to be able to host these events in person eventually, to host more of them. We're only touching on 4 themes this time around, just because there's only so many days. But the idea is to create more opportunities for women to tap into the much needed community that really every mother does need. And it may look different depending on where you are and what community looks like. But again, I fundamentally believe that mothers are not meant to mother alone.
Yeah.
And so this is one way, just that we hope, one little offering to say, just come, all you got to do is show up. You don't need to prep, come as you are. And
Julie, so we've got 3 minutes left. I want to ask, okay, so I know you said it's launching today, we've got the gathering, and then for every webinar afterwards, I think it's every Wednesday. Could you give us details about that? How women could get involved, where they need to go, and then also just a little bit about how to get involved with Embrace in general.
Sure. So our website's embrace.org.za. That's, if you remember one thing, just embrace.org.za, because all of the information's on there, the link to the Cricut links. So basically we want women to register, because we're not creating these links publicly, and we do want to create some sense of safety. So you register, and then we send you a link to the Zoom room for that night. You can also find us on social media, embrace_ZA on Instagram and Twitter, embrace_ZA on Facebook. We kind of we're very active on social media. So if you talk to us, we'll talk back to you. And we sort of share a lot about all the kind of things we're doing in our work, and also just creating kind of conversations, courageous conversations, around the various types of motherhood. So it's a great place to be if you're looking for community. Find us on social media, go to our website, all the details, the dates and times for these Month of Mums events are there. As I said, they'll be there on Wednesdays. There's different times. We've kind of got a lunchtime one for the hustler mums, a later evening one for the single mums. So I don't want to confuse anyone with the details now, but just to say, if you go to our website and you go to our social media accounts, all the details for how to sign up are readily available, and we would just so love to have you. Please share this with your friends. Everyone's invited. And we'd love to see you there.
And that is wonderful. So guys, I don't know about you, but I am a hustling mom, a single mom, and a very, very, very tired mom. So I am looking forward to this campaign. Go to the website. It's on the screen right now, and we will hopefully see you there. Now, thank you so much, Julie, for sharing with us and for being here, and for this wonderful campaign as well. Thank you to Embrace. We are going to
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We are going to take a short break, but we'll be back with more after this. Welcome back. You're still watching The Womxn Show, and we have been speaking about motherhood, mothering, and Mother's Day. Now, before the break and during our conversation, we were chatting about some of the dialogues that Embrace a Movement for Mothers have had, speaking about women who are talking about the challenges that they've experienced as mothers, but also celebrating motherhood. We're going to have a look at a short video about these mothers in conversation, and also have a look at what this new campaign by Embrace a Movement for Mothers, which launches today on Mother's Day, is all about, and how you can get involved. Let's have a look.
I still remember when I made that baby. I really do.
Oh my word.
It was very early. I started having those huge morning sicknesses all of a sudden, and then I knew that something was wrong, and I was trying anyway.
I felt ready to have a baby, but I wasn't sure how to disclose it to my mom that, listen, I'm ready to have a baby. I want to have one. And my boyfriend kept on pressurizing marriage to me, and then I knew I don't want that. Because as a black person, there's just too many limitations that would bring towards my visions and goals.
I started throwing out. My favorite food became my worst food.
I was offered a job 2 months before giving birth. So from disclosing that I was pregnant, and they were all in support, really very happy, and I was shocked that existed given my history of workplaces. They said that you can take maternity leave. There was flexibility in hours. Whenever I felt like I'm failing my baby, someone who has a baby would come on our WhatsApp group, say something that makes me feel really, really better.
When I found out I was pregnant, I was in grade 9. I was 14. It was hectic. I was actually scared. What am I going to tell my mom? How is she going to react? So I actually just ran away from home.
Shame.
I was 20 when I fell pregnant the first time. I noticed that people weren't very nice to me. Married women are treated better in the government hospital system. We are respected, and that's something I experienced both sides of it. When I was not married, people were just like, "Oh, another baby." When I was married, it's like, "Mrs. Fife, would you like tea?"
The stigma around being married when you're pregnant or when you're going to have a baby, and when you are young, at the clinic starts with women in the queue, the stares they give when you say, "No, I'm not married."
To walk in there feels like you're being punished for falling pregnant, and that's the beginning of the motherhood journey. It's traumatic. Women are scared to go. I remember being very scared to go back.
I feel like moms just get ignored a lot of the time. Oh, they'll manage, they'll do it all on their own. And I feel like maybe that's a problem that runs into a bigger society. Like, people forget that moms are human too and need support.
It's suddenly just about the baby. Yeah. You kind of do feel like a vehicle. Besides people only caring about the baby now and you losing your identity, you are expected to also only care about the baby now. Mm-hmm. You can't be sexy, you can't take 5 minutes to yourself, you can't not want to be by your baby. I can remember thinking like, this sucks.
At the beginning of 2019, my son was almost 4, and I just wasn't coping. I wasn't coping at work. I wasn't able to parent him properly. It was very challenging.
With my middle child, they put her on my chest and there was nothing. I don't even want this child on my chest. I need to breastfeed this child and I don't want to.
Eventually I started to get panic attacks, not sleeping, heart palpitations.
And I had to push myself to feed this baby because I'm a single mother and she's mine. I have to care for her.
The doctor told me that I most likely have postpartum depression. And I said to her, but my child's almost 4 years old, he's 3.5, so why so late? And she said it is possible. This kind of depression brought on by hormones and circumstances and just the stress of being a mum can actually manifest later on.
So it took me a while, to bond. You feel the guilt. You're always looking at this child and thinking, I wasn't there at that first moments, you know.
The recovery was quite long and very lonely. You feel like you're the only one that's got this huge burden on your shoulders.
After my 2 miscarriages, again I fell pregnant and then I gave birth to a healthy baby. But I was scared of falling in love with her. And I was like, what if I'm gonna lose this one as well? So it took me time to bond with my child. I thank God to my mother because she was always there for her.
My mother was the best support system when it came to breastfeeding. Even now, my breast hurts when I think about breastfeeding. It was hell. We never understood what thrush was, but yeah, I thank her because she helped me through.
I felt quite supported by my husband, Nicholas. You know, past the water when you're breastfeeding or just at night, I'll breastfeed Amari and then he'll take a burper and put it down. So I really do appreciate like the help that I was given within my home. Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, it was wonderful.
I'm scared I'm going to cry, so I wasn't going to add to this. But the first time I ever had emotional support after giving birth was when I got married. So yeah, it's a weird feeling to have never had somebody assist you, or at least somebody who's equally responsible for the baby. It's not a favor this time.
For me, my community was I could just call any one of my neighbors and say, listen here, I'm working tomorrow, I need you to babysit. They would go with me everywhere to carry my children, just to carry the children for me. And they say it takes a village to raise a child. My children was raised in that kind of village in a township.
Hello, beautiful mothers of the internet. My name is Karabo Mokoena of Black Mom Chronicles. So my beautiful friends at Embrace are hosting really needed and free virtual events for Mother's Month. They're calling them the Month of Mothers Meetups. And I have the privilege of hosting one of these meetups that are going to be happening virtually over Zoom. And they're my one is taking place on the 11th of May, but you need to be on the lookout for the other virtual events that are going to take place. So this is a platform where moms can meet like-minded moms. So I'm going to be hosting a conversation for moms who have side hustles, and we're going to have platforms to meet like-minded women who are mothers, make mom friends, because mom friends are so important. I definitely want to increase my list of mom friends. So if you'd like to be my mom friend, please do join us, and keep your eyes out on the Embrace page and my page as well to find out more details about when these conversations are happening. My particular one is happening on the 11th of May, and we have really cool ones also that are coming up for Mother's Day. So in the spirit of Mother's Day, please do join us on these events, and would definitely like to see you there. Mwah!
Hello there, my name is Khaopalelo Phalaitsile, also known as Feminist Mommy or Mommy_Feminist on social media, and I'm pretty excited because Mother's Day is coming up, but I'm even more excited because I've partnered with Embrace, the movement for mothers, to bring you an online event that is absolutely free on Sunday the 8th of May at 6 p.m. on Mother's Day. We will be celebrating motherhood, but also we will be giving you an opportunity to make new mom friends. We are planning a relaxed night where you bring your drinks, your snacks, but most importantly, you bring yourself. There will be no pressure to put on the camera, whether you want it off or on, that will be up to you. But just bring yourself and come enjoy yourself and make mom new friends. The event is free, and you can register by clicking on the screen, but you can also get tickets at QuickEd. And remember to stick with Embrace's social media accounts, because we have decided to rename the month of May to the month of mothers. Exciting, right? We deserve a month, right? So there will be more events being rolled out in this month by Embrace. So you want to stick around and keep checking on what's coming up and what's exciting for you this Mother's Month. I hope to see you at this event. I'm very excited to host you. It will be like speed dating, but for moms. Pretty cool, right? So I can't wait to host you. I'm quite excited.
Do ba 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 do boo do a boo ba do ba do boo boo ba do a do ba do ba do a do ba do ba do do do.
And that brings us to the end of our show. I would like to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. I hope that you were celebrated, and if you were not, because that happens, I would like you to know that you are doing a great job, that you are not alone, and that you should reach out to Embrace, a movement for mothers to find solidarity and support. I'm Lenina Rasool. Goodbye.